Hey guys, it's the Nerdy Movie Guy. Today I'm going to talk about sort of a not so popular movie. I kind of want to give it the benefit of the doubt and kind of review it. There's not much to say about it, so this may just be a short video, but I wanted to review Meg 2 The Trench. So I have the steelbook here. It's gifted to me, and it's a pretty nice steelbook, not going to lie. Regardless of the movie, the steelbook is pretty nice. It's a neat cover, nice and shiny. It's got sort of this was in the movie, but that's the back of the box. It's pretty cool. And so, steelbook, so cool to have. And this movie was really strange. So, the first part of the movie, it just feels like it's one of those things where you expect all this action. It's this big monster movie, essentially. And there's just a ton of just talking. They're trying to sort of explain the science behind how you can go to the bottom of the ocean. It's just one of those movies where they just try to take something extremely unrealistic and use science to explain it all the way. And that's, we're just supposed to accept all of that and move on with a long explanation for the next 20 seconds of screen time for the big monster that we came to see in the first place. So the plot is sort of strange. At the beginning of the movie, we see there's this corporation that has a Meg in captivity, and they've put all this money into it, millions of dollars, and they just want to see if they can domesticate, a Meg. They're just gonna see how it works out in the wild. It was this baby Meg that they put in this captivity, and of course in the movie the Meg, because plot, jumps over the wall straight out of Free Willy. And, I'm kidding, that doesn't happen. It does escape from its sanctuary, and, it's out in the ocean. So when we have a Jason Statham, he returns as Jonas Taylor. In this, he has sort of this new crew, and, he's at this sort of ceremony in the beginning, at this corporate spa with, with the Meg in captivity. And then he goes to this research center where they're going to go down to the bottom of the ocean to go exploring. And what happens is when the Meg gets out of the sanctuary, it somehow ends up following him to the spot through dimensions or this layer in the water, this barrier in the water, whatever they call it. I don't even remember. I didn't care enough about the plot, but it's just sort of barrier thing that sharks can't go through, but the Megs always do. So it follows Jonas and the crew in there, and they find this sort of mining outpost that they don't know what it is at first, but these people end up being rogue. They sort of set off this explosion, and Jonas and his team, in their little submarine pods, they're forced to be grounded, and they got to put on these exosuits and walk across the bottom of the ocean 3 kilometers to this mining outpost. By the time they get there, someone else is hacking the controls, and they find out through the monitor, the villains reveal himself, who the villain is in the movie. And I won't spoil that for you guys. There are certain characters that are involved, certain ones aren't. And at this point in the movie, this is towards, I would say, 35, 40-minute mark, I think. And when the villain's revealed. And so at this point, Jonas and team get out of this spot, barely, and it becomes sort of this rescue mission. They're trying to get out of this place and go find the Megs that have escaped and make sure the people are safe, because the Megs are going to find this nearest island with all these people, this beach with all these people, and there's just a ton of killings. And so that's sort of the plot. It's sort of silly. One of the things that was notable is in the beginning, in Sanctuary in Captivity, there are some CGI shots that just look pretty bad. I don't know if it really was CGI or not, but just visually looking at it, it just kind of looked bad. It looked maybe they found a small shark and just filmed it and pretended it was a megalodon. I don't know. It just really looked bad. And then as Jonas and team get to this island where the beach is, where the people are being eaten by this megalodons, and this giant octopus kind of comes out of nowhere. And the thing is, I think there's some inconsistency with the shots as far as the filming direction is concerned. So what I mean by that is Jonas had these harpoons, these makeshift harpoons, he stuck a bomb onto, and he had 3 of them. Made it clear, there's 3 of them. When they're on the beach, everyone sort of has their own duties, but Jonas and 2 other guys, there were 3 of them, with 3 harpoons, to find 3 jet skis and attack 3 Megs. That was a story. Well, there's only 1 jet ski, so Jonas takes all 3. And what I noticed is when he's going after the Megs, he tosses harpoon, he misses, so he's got 2 left, right? So now he's going around the water, and there's another shot where he has 3 left, and then he has 2, and then he has 3, and then there's another shot where he only has 1 left, but then you see he has 2 in the next shot. And it's just whether he had 3 or 2 or 1, it was just very inconsistent. It felt like there wasn't a lot of attention to detail when it came to the editing after the movie was finished, because there's just a lot of shots where, because he didn't throw the harpoons back to back. It was sporadic through about 20 minutes of the last bit of the movie. And there's just several shots where he's supposed to have the wrong amount of harpoons that he should have. So it's just something that was noticeable. And there wasn't really a lot of comedy to this movie. Normally in a big monster movie that people don't really have too much expectation with, you'd expect they throw some comedy in there to at least be funny, to at least be lighthearted and somewhat enjoyable. There really wasn't anything like that, which was really strange for me, because it just sort of had, it's this big monster movie, and it has its tone and vibe and plot sort of just laid out for you. You see exactly what it is, and if you paid attention to the trailer, there's actually some pretty big spoilers in the trailer when you start watching the movie. So if you keep that in mind, it does spoil stuff. That's just the way my mind works, is when I'm watching a movie, I remember bits and pieces from the trailer where I know, oh, well, this hasn't happened yet, or this person is now connected to this person because I saw that in the trailer. That hasn't happened yet. So regardless, the trailer kind of spoiled a little bit, I think. Some bad effects, CGI, whatever it was. The shark looked bad. That's all I gotta say. One of them anyway. And there's just no comedy to fill in the boring gaps. So overall, I think this movie can be somewhat enjoyable if you just have a casual viewpoint about it. If you don't go in with high expectations, if you're not expecting big action, or if you're not expecting comedy, I think this is just somewhere in the middle. That's just, unfortunately, it just falls into the category of just being extremely mediocre. There's not really anything that makes it feel original. There's nothing about it that makes it stand out. And unfortunately, it just, I think in my collection, this movie is just going to be forgotten about in a few years. Whether I move or I'm rearranging my collection, I'm just going to find this movie and be like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that. I forgot I saw that movie. So that's what it is. Overall, it's a really nice steelbook to have in my collection. Other than that, there's not really much to it. They did throw other monsters in here. It wasn't just Megs. So from a future sequel franchise point of view, I guess this movie did have a lot of openings for later movies. Meg 3 or Meg versus Godzilla. I don't know. There's just more monsters in this movie. And I think they could take it pretty far as the concept is concerned, given that it's not a real serious plot or idea to begin with. So I think if we get another director for movie 3, if they do a Meg 3, I think there's some real fun they could have with it if they just really make it just as ridiculous as possible. You already get dinosaurs, giant octopus, megalodons in this one. So who knows what they'll do next. But regardless, I'm sure they'll make one. Everything's got to have a sequel these days. Well, big corporations like Warner Brothers or Disney, most of those corporations are going to want to have sequel after sequel. So see what happens. I don't know if there'll be a Meg 3. If so, let's see how they can top dinosaurs and giant octopi. Alright, thanks for sticking with me. I don't know if I'd recommend this to you guys, but if you just want some dumb sort of action movie with no comedy, this is the movie for you. Alright, see you next time, guys.